Today we're working on this quilt. It's a small, like a table topper or a wall hanging that somebody's family member had made years ago, and she wanted to have it finished and quilted and all. So we've quilted it, and it's got these scalloped edges. We're going to put binding on those edges now, and then it'll be ready to give back to her. So I've taken the fabric that she wants for the binding, and I've cut it up, and I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to make the binding and attach the binding to the quilt. We're ready to bind it now, so we're going to take the quilt and lay it on its back at the sewing machine. We are going to start about somewhere around 8 inches into this binding. Doesn't have to be exact. Then we're going to start in one of the slopes going up the curve. And we'll start with a 1/4 inch seam. And we'll go all the way around it, carefully holding it and going up these edges. It's going to take a little bit longer than it would for regular binding because you're going to have to do these turns, but it will look beautiful when it is done. We already pre-made our binding. If you need help making binding, we do have a video on that. I'm just going to keep going around like this, moving this binding to the edge and going around these curves, trying to keep it at a 1/4 inch. It's a little more challenging than straight binding, but it can be done. And it makes the finished quilt look oh so good. You just have to go in small little increments of this when you're going around these curves. And when we get to this edge over here, we're going to do it the same way we do with regular binding. We're just going to flip it back to go the other direction. When I get that done, then I'm going to flip it to the other side in a minute and do the front side like that. But for now, we're at this corner, so we're going to do it just like we do the other binding. We're going to hold it. We're going to flip it to the direction we need it. It's going to cause that crease right there. We're going to put our hand there, flip it over our hand, and then come back the other way and start sewing this direction. I have lots of videos out there on binding, so if you get stumped on it, can't figure out what I'm doing, check one of the other videos out as well, and maybe you'll see it from a different angle and it'll be a little bit easier on you. But there's plenty of binding videos out there that, in fact, we put one out there the other day, just real recent. So we're going to keep doing this all the way around. And then we're going to take this, when we get it done, and we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. And it's going to look like that. It's going to look pretty. I don't want to cut it straight across here because this pattern here has that curve, so I want that curve to continue with the binding. So that's how we're doing the binding, and we're going to keep going with it. Well, we are done with our binding now, and the quilt looks like this. It turned out cute. I don't know if they'll use it as a table topper or wall hanging or what they'll use it for, but another project done, another heirloom made. So until next time, happy quilting.